guys, welcome in. Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. Man, do we have a barn burner of a show for you. The coach, the great Dan Dakich, will be with us here in just a little bit, talking about bringing the smoke like only the coach can on the current state of college athletics. Plus, I'm going to ask him, we've heard about this for years, how much money does Michael Jordan actually owe him from a golf game in 1984? We love the coach. Now with OutKick, you heard him for years here on Indianapolis radio. He's got a great show now with OutKicks. We'll talk with him here in a little bit. Plus, next hour, David Shelton is going to join us. He is Knox County Clerk. He's a Republican candidate for Secretary of State, and he is going to talk with us about the danger of the Republicans nominating Diego Morales once again, and the fact that there's a very real chance the Republicans will lose the office of Secretary of State if they go with Diego Morales. We'll get to all that here in just a little bit. But first, I almost forgot. I forgot to promote this yesterday. I do so much stuff now, I can't even keep track of all the crap that I'm a part of. If you haven't checked it out yet, I have a new column out, dropped yesterday, in the IndyStar. New column out, IndyStar, and it is all about the amount of money that Mike Braun is pumping into these Senate primaries through his super PAC against challengers who voted against redistricting. And the article basically talks about how Braun has had plenty of opportunity to use that super PAC, use that money from that super PAC to do things that actually help you, and he has spent exactly jack crap on helping you. And in this article, you guys will want to read it. In this article, I actually go back to a meeting I had with Braun in the summer of 2024. Remember when they were begging for my endorsement for governor, and we had a little fun with them? We did the big, who am I going to support? Blah, blah, blah. Actually go into a little bit of detail about the meeting I had with Braun and his chief of staff, Josh Kelly, and Micah was there in the summer of 2024, where they were begging for my endorsement, talking about promising all this money from their super PAC. They were going to spend all this money to pressure these senators into voting for redistricting, or not for redistricting, voting for property tax reform. And so all of that in the article, you can read it now over at IndyStar.com. Okay, couple of housekeeping items before we begin the program today. And we're going to start the program talking about how your community is about to get bulldozed over thanks to the bill Braun just signed. You people better get ready for a high-density housing development on every corner. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, couple of reminders. If you haven't yet, hit that little thumbs up button, like our show, like the feed. If you're watching us live on the YouTube, let everybody know that you're a part of that. That really helps us. Also, subscribers grow by the day. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. And last but certainly not least, share the feed on the Facebook, on the Twitter, wherever your social media is. Let people know about us. Man, the numbers have been awesome in terms of growth over the past couple of weeks. You guys have been doing so great, and we need to keep it going because nobody is talking about Indiana news, politics, and government like us. Nobody is taking these topics on, which is a shame. I mean, it's a darn shame that people with much bigger platforms than us are choosing to cower in a corner to avoid hot button topics on Indiana news, politics, and government, refusing to take on the politicians, people with much bigger opportunities, much bigger potential audiences, but they won't do it, so we will. And that's why you need to help us grow so that we can hold these politicians accountable. We call the little thing we ask you to do each day, like, share, and subscribe. Please help us out by doing that. And ask the other people on the other platforms why they aren't doing this. Why aren't they taking on? Why are they just reading boring-ass national news that you can get anywhere else? Why aren't they taking on the hot button issues? Why are they just reading from the headlines? Ask them that. See what they have to say, because we need everybody in Indianapolis, everybody in the state of Indiana. All of our local news outlets need to be holding these dirty, rotten ingrates accountable. Why are we the only ones that have to do it? Why? Ask the question. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe to the feed. You guys have been awesome helping us grow. We can't thank you enough. And one other thing, if you're feeling super generous, if you're like, man, I love these guys are awesome, thanks for what you're doing, head over to robkendallshow.com, robkendallshow.com. While you're there, you can see the live feed is there. We've also got all the on-demand platforms where you can watch or listen to the show. We've got articles posted each day from some of our favorite segments based on transcripts of our favorite segments. And we got this little support button up there. And if you're feeling super generous, $1, $10, whatever it is, we are so appreciative of the hundreds, literally hundreds of you over the past 6 weeks who have given generously. Hit that support button over at robkendallshow.com. All right, enough screwing around. Let's get to the program. And we're going to start with a bill that Braun is so proud, Mike Braun, governor of Indiana, so proud that he signed into law yesterday. And guys, you can pretty much wave bye-bye to your community because this is going to gut your community's ability to stop bad housing developments. So, what are we talking about? Let's get into it. Indiana Capitol Chronicle with the big article on this if you'd like to read more about it. House rolled in Act 1001. By the way, if you'd like to look into the abyss of what your community is going to look like in the not too distant future, I'd advise you to come to Brownsburg and Avon. Just take a drive through there. See, it's like you know, It's a Wonderful Life, where you see what your life would be like or might be like. Just take a drive through Brownsburg and Avon, where you find a high-density housing development on every corner. That's what's coming for you. That's what's about to be you. Your community is about to get taken over, and Braun and the Republicans are so damn proud of this. House Enrolled Act 1001. And here's how the Capitol Chronicle writes it up. House Enrolled Act 1001 aims to lower costs for builders and home buyers alike by minimizing local zoning rules like aesthetic and parking mandates, streamlining approval for new construction, and this is the big one, expanding the types of residential development allowed without public hearings. They don't want to hear from you. They're sick of your crap. They're sick of you demanding good developments in your community, and the state said, we're going to take away your ability to have a voice. Imagine what a horrible, rotten human being you have to be a lawmaker and go, you know, I'm sick of people having a voice. I'm sick of people for speaking up in their communities. I'm sick of people being outraged that a high-density housing development might not be able to be dropped on every street corner. These people are too pesky. They're too big of rebel rousers. There's too much freedom to voice your opposition to the government. We'll just take it away from you. That's the bill. And Braun just had a big old signing ceremony. He's super proud about it. So here's what Braun said. Here's the one of the few coherent statements. You ever notice how you ask Braun something, and Nikki Kelly has talked about this before. You ask the guy a question, and then he gives you an answer, and 5 minutes later, you're just staring at him going, huh? Like, how is it that the governor can't speak? Shouldn't that be a requirement for all of our elected officials? I don't care what level it is, even the coroner. If you can't speak in coherent sentences, like if I ask you a question and you can't give me an immediate coherent response, you're out. You're banned. I'm kicking you out of public office. You should be able to give a coherent, consistent statement. And Braun can't do it. Watch an interview. Next time the IBC afternoon guys have Braun on, I challenge you to watch that interview and see if he gave a single coherent, consistent statement to anything. He spends 5 minutes talking about absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. One of the things he did say, quote, the goal is to identify barriers to build more homes and lower prices. Tell me you know nothing about how local governments work in one sentence. The goal is to identify barriers to build more homes and lower prices. Let's talk about how frickin' ridiculous that statement is. Lower prices. Why would you possibly, in your community, want new homes built at lower prices? You live in a community right now. You're living there. What possible reason on God's green earth would there be for you to want a bunch of houses to be built at lower prices? Let's talk about how property taxes work. Under the current system, the way it is right now Braun says the new system works great, so there's no changes coming, which, of course, I guess that means Braun changed his mind because last year he said, oh, we're coming back for more. This is just the beginning of this wild adventure together. And then this year he's like, everyone's very happy with the system. Have you met one person not in the government who's very happy with the property tax system? Like, is there one person who's like, this is working great for me? The property tax system is so screwed up. The schools and the taxpayers hate it. The towns and the taxpayers hate it. The county and the taxpayers hate it. And Braun is like, oh, this is wonderful. All of my government stooges are telling me how great this is. Everyone's very thrilled. I had somebody message me yesterday and they're like, hey, I thought we were supposed to be getting a bunch of money back on our property taxes. I was like, that's what they told you? He's like, he sent me his bill. He goes, I got $5 back. I said, yeah, in Braun's world, that's all you deserved. A lot of people telling me their property taxes went up this year. And I said, get ready, Val, because once the income tax, the new local income tax hits in 2029, once all these referendums pass this fall, once your deduction that you got, that $200 or $300 or whatever you got gets eviscerated by rising assessments, you're really going to be in for a problem, to quote Joe Biden. So, but let's talk about how freaking stupid it is, the statement that you want more homes built at lower prices. Property taxes are capped at 1% for homeowners unless you have a school referendum. That means that the local governments, the revenue they get is based on 1% of the value of that home. Now, look, I'm against property taxes, period. And unlike some of these other idiots who are out running for Senate who go, we should get rid of property taxes. I've actually had a plan to get rid of property taxes. Did a video last year about it. In fact, a very detailed 4-point plan to get rid of property taxes. Did IBC take that video down? I know they tried to erase most of me from the memory. Is that video still up? Maybe we can find out if that video's still up. Or if not, I'll just do another one. I have the ability to do my own videos now. Maybe we'll do another one again. But look, property taxes are horrible. They're awful. They have no business existing. You own your home. You paid for it. It's yours. But in the current system, where we still have property taxes, and they're capped at 1% of the assessed value of your home. A home worth less money means less revenue to the community. So you live in a town that's working very well. Like, I like my town. I like where I live. I like the people around me. I like the roads. I like the businesses. Everything's working pretty well. I kind of like the way like everything about the place. What the state's now saying is, no, it doesn't matter that you like it. It doesn't matter that it's working well for you. What we want is a bunch of low-income housing to be dumped into your community, and go F yourself. We don't want to even hear from you in the process. Think about this. If you have a home, I mean, the premise of the property tax cap is that a home has a certain value, gets taxed at 1%, and then that money collected goes to provide services to the community, right? The police, the fire, the schools, the roads, all of that stuff, the library, all of those things. The county government, it's all a part of your property tax bill. And those things do cost money. Now, the government spends way too much money, but those things, I think any reasonable person like us would acknowledge, those things cost money. There's a price for them. Under this plan, the state has said, we are going to force communities to build a bunch of low-income housing that the community doesn't want, that has a lower assessed value, which means less money into the communities. Oh, and we're going to jam a bunch of people into these cities and towns. And you're going to have less revenue to pay to widen the roads, to pay for the police, to pay for the fire, to pay for the schools, which means what? The schools are going to be sprinting to do more referendums. This is the most asinine policy imaginable. We don't like that your community has standards. That's what the state is saying. We don't like that your community has standards. We don't like that you have a voice. We don't like that you're able to stop things. So we're going to cut it off. We're going to say, you're done here. That is the new future under this bill. These referendums are going to be happening everywhere. You're going to jam all sorts of residents into these communities. And again, let's talk about why housing is so unaffordable. The government did it. The government caused it. The government broke it. And now government's answer to the thing they broke is to simply say, well, we'll just take away your ability to stop things we don't like. Remember, Houses skyrocketed in 2020. Why? Because the federal government printed $5 trillion and they lowered the interest rates down to 2%. So naturally, there's all this money in the economy. Money is cheap to get on top of that. And people are like, well, I got to put this money somewhere. I'll put it into a house. I got to live somewhere. I'll put it into a house. Well, of course, that skyrocketed the value of homes because people were spending more money to buy the homes, which then meant they were stuck in the home. Why? Because they overpaid for the house and they bought it at 2% interest. There's no way they can sell that home to most people at 6% interest or 7% interest. They're done. They're stuck. I said this at the time. I said, if you're happy with that home and you want it to be for your forever home, that's a great frickin' time to buy. I did. I'm very happy with where I live. I live next to the house I grew up in. My dad is my neighbor. I'm very happy. I mean, I hate the town that I live in. I hate the town government, but I'm very happy at my house. I'm okay with the position I put myself in. I also recognize, when I've done the math, it would cost me about $500 more a month to buy the same house today. I'm there. I'm happily stuck where I'm at. Many people are not happily stuck where they're at. The point is, that's why houses aren't available, because people can't move, because the government created a ridiculously unworkable system. The government broke it. They broke it. And now they're punishing everyone else. So get ready. Get ready for all the HB1 workers that the IEDC is bringing in. That's why they want these high-density housing developments. They have to have somewhere for these workers that they are busing in through the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. They have to have somewhere for these people to go. They have to have somewhere for these people to live. And your community is going to die in the process. Your community is going to be absolute toast dunzo in the process. And Braun, he's super proud about it. And nobody in the Republican supermajority is pushing back against this. And Micah Beckwith isn't saying a word. And Diego isn't saying a word. And Todd Rokita isn't saying a word. And Daniel Elliott isn't saying a word. This is the Republican Party. This is the Indiana GOP. This is your new reality. Get ready. It's going to happen. And you're not going to be able to do a damn thing about it. Hey, most of you guys know I really hate to leave my house. Why? Because I got such a great deal on it. Why wouldn't I want to go? We joke a lot about my fear of flying, but a major reason is planning a trip just seems overwhelming. You know, I struggle. You guys know this. Like, I got the OCD. I struggle to even get started. I get overwhelmed. But not anymore. Even a person with severe obsessive compulsive disorder like me has a chance to travel in peace thanks to Baltus Travel Service. Adam Baltus, that's his name. Adam is your one-stop shop for adventures anywhere in the world. He handles it all. Hotels, rental cars, flights, you name it. And the great thing is, in most cases, using Baltus Travel Service won't make your excursion cost a dime extra. You got someone taking care of all of the worry about planning the trip, and in many cases won't add one dime to the cost. Adam is certified through most major cruise lines as well as Disney and Universal theme parks. Get started today. BaltusTravel.com. BaltusTravel.com or call 812-593-7561. 812-593-7561. Okay, guys, I'm super excited about this next one. One of my favorite people on the planet, one of my favorite people in all of media, Indiana basketball legend, the great Dan Dakich is going to join us. We're going to talk about the current state of college athletics. We're going to talk about how a guy like Dan Dakich, who made a living coaching basketball and then years in sports media, transitions over to OutKick, where he merges politics and sports talk together, how he's been a success with that. And I'm going to ask him to tell the story. Is it true that Michael Jordan still owes him $6,000? We'll get to all that and more. Coming up next, you're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, a realtor with App Properties. Born and raised right here in central Indiana and a Hoosier through and through. Selling your home is a massive undertaking, and I completely understand what that is. That's why when you work with me, we put a great plan together to make sure that when your home comes to the market, it is in the best light possible. Again, I'm Lauren Wilson, 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. Let's put a plan together and get your home sold.
I'm Doug Cobb for Clay County Commissioner. I'm running to bring transparency back to our local government. As a concerned citizen, I want to know what's going on. We need new and fresh ideas for today's challenges. We need a vision for future generations. As a small business owner, I want to explore and promote opportunities to make us all successful. Let's create a brighter future for Clay County together. I'm Doug Cobb, running for Clay County Commissioner, and I approve this message. Paid for by Linda Cheesem.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Hi, I'm John Piper. I'm running for Congress in Indiana. I'm the only candidate in the United States of America exposing the crisis we have in mother's breast milk. Purdue University is a major player in that. Purdue is selling our veterinarians to out-of-state corporations for big money. Bobby Kennedy needs to know about it effective immediately. We are 55,000 veterinarians short across the United States. My two major opponents, Craig Haggard and Jim Barrett, are both protecting the Iranian terror cell in Plainfield, Indiana. I'm John Piper. I approve this message. Paid for Friends for Piper for Congress.
It is the Rob Kendall Show, joined by one of the great media figures in all the land, a basketball mind unlike anybody else. You know him as the guy who shut down Michael Jordan in 1984, the great Dan Dakich. Coach, hello.
That was a long time ago, man. It is like, I like being known for something. I suppose that's as good as anything, right? I mean, what the hell? But that's a long-ass time ago.
So tell us about your OutKick show, because you've sort of morphed the world of sports into politics, and now you merge them together. Tell us about the show.
Well, you know how, you enter into the world of YouTube where you can monetize something. And OutKick, it's kind of funny. The way I got there was ESPN had lost the Big Ten. And so I was doing all their Big Ten stuff, and I'm like, this isn't going good. Then George Floyd happened, and then I'm like, this ain't going to go good for my vocal ass, white, middle-aged self. So my contract was coming up, and they wanted to talk, and Clay Travis had texted me a few times. Long story short, I'm like, hey, man, if you can make the money work, I'm in, because everybody I liked at ESPN, my producer, my director, Tirico, Benetti, they're all leaving. And I like the people more than the job. Anyway, and they're like, okay, well, this is a conservative site, which they didn't tell me how to be conservative, and it's going to be politics. And in the YouTube space, the way our show is, I don't know, yours is different. Our show, you can't start the show with politics, or else the algorithm, I don't know. I don't understand it all, right?
So they give you like instructions, like, "Hey, it's gonna be bad for us if you just launch into a Obama rant or something."
No, not as long as I don't do it first. Which I don't, Rob. I'm literally speaking Chinese. I don't know what I'm talking about here, but that's what they tell. So anyway, I'd always been a guy. When I was a kid, Rob, I read the newspaper front to back. I didn't like. When I was probably 12, I didn't like, or older than that, maybe 14, the paper boy kept getting it late. So I took over his route. I read 3 newspapers cover to cover on Sundays. My parents were teachers, so I just always liked all that stuff. I liked the news. I was a scared kid, actually. Our house got firebombed, set on fire, guy threw a Molotov cocktail at it, got robbed, and I was always scared. So I wanted to know where all the crime was in the area in Northwest Indiana. And so I always read the newspaper. And when they came to me, they said, you think you could carry a show that talks sports, and we're going to, politics? I said, hell yeah. I mean, that's fine.
Okay, let me ask you this, Coach. This is fascinating to me because
Yeah.
you're a career sports guy, and
Yeah.
you had been kind of candid on your show over the years on 1070 and then 93.5 and 107.5, and like you'd been candid about that you were sort of in the middle, right? You hated all sides equally. Like, how long did it take you to get sort of up to speed on stuff, get into it, find a political identity? How long did that take to come together?
You know, it came lot because of you and Hammer and Nigel. I started listening before, when we were working together. I'd stop by, you'd have me in there, and I really started not from a good place. I way back, I really started disliking when George W. Bush spoke. It drove me nuts because it was just bullshit rhyme. And then Clinton, and he was like just a filthy, and I actually am was neighbors. I moved with first cousins of Clintons, and they would all get together at the 500 and talk about how evil, awful it. And then, Trump comes around, and I'm following on Twitter. I'm like, that'd be cool if he was a president. And then he becomes president, and then Biden just pissed me off because all the stupid stuff. And it was a culmination, of all that, just paying attention and listening to you guys and listening to other stuff. I always liked listening to Limbaugh when I was on the road. So it didn't take long, but one of the things I like about OutKick, and I know we're all part of Fox and all that, is they've never said you got to be this side or that side. Just speak what you think is the truth. So again, I go back to you and Hammer and Nigel. I just listen to you guys and follow you guys and, make up my own mind, but get in for much as I could. So once I started, I had about not a year, I don't know what I had, about 4 or 5 months prep time for it. And before I started, so I just paid attention, Rob, is really what it was.
The coach, Dan Dakich, is our guest, OutKick host extraordinaire. By the way, tell everybody where they can find you now, when the show is on, all those sorts of things.
It's kind of fascinating. Again, I don't know this stuff. Like, you put it out there at certain times. It was a live show, and now at 2:00 it drops, and you can get it very simple. YouTube.com/@ Don't At Me with Dan Dakich. The name of the show is Don't At Me. Or if you just search, go to YouTube, search Dan Dakich or Don't At Me, it'll come up. Or if you go to the outkick.com, it's on there. And it drops usually around 2:00, but we're dropping all the time. And Rob, I'm not going to lie, man. You and I both, it was like, hey, I did a 10 to 1 show, and then I did a noon to 3 show. And now I'm asking these guys, when is this shit dropping? Like that kind of stuff. So,
well, so you and I are on a fraternity. We're both told our services were no longer required by Urban One. And I mean this, part of the reason I didn't panic when it happened to me, I was like, look at how great Dakich came out of all of this. Like, you came out better than ever, getting kicked out of the terrestrial radio side of things.
Well, you know what? They as you know, Urban One is not exactly the friend of the conservative movement, right? I mean, it's not, they got to keep the shows on 93.1 because that's history. But they made me make a choice. And it was no choice to me. It really wasn't. There was no, they said, hey, we need an answer. And I said, well, I'm not leaving OutKick. And they said, okay, well, today was your last day. I said, that's fine with me. I'm cool with it. But what I didn't know, Rob, because I didn't even think of this, how dumb I am. Doyle and all those guys would come at me, and I'm driving home and I was relieved. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I'm like, crap. I got to turn around, go see my brother who's got a PR guy, and go put a statement out and all this shit because, Dakich fired again, all that crap. But no, there's a saying, and this is applying to you more so than me. Good people, when they get let go by one place, they always find a better job. And you have, even though you may not know it, and I certainly have. So it's all good.
Do you have more fun now? Because and I'm not going to badmouth IBC because that was my dream to be there, but I have more fun now talking about the stuff I want to talk about. It's all local stuff. I can pick whatever topics I want, and I can talk about something for 40 minutes if I want. I have more fun now, and it's not a sour grapes thing, than I ever did on terrestrial radio because you pick your own stuff. Is that the same way it is for you?
Well, people always say, well, ESPN let you go. No, they didn't. I chose to leave because of that exact thing. Like when Mike Tirico and Molly McGrath or Sam Ponder and the producers, we're all great friends. And we did Tuesday games and we would get there Monday, couldn't wait, have dinner, and then everybody left. And then, as I said earlier, George Floyd happened. So, man, Seth Greenberg and I one time, we're just watching a debate. Not, I forget who it was. It may have been Gore. No, it wasn't even Gore. I don't even know. Whoever it was, Bush and somebody, Jeb Bush. And we made some comments on Twitter. Oh, man, 9 o'clock the next morning. And my smart ass said, hold on here. Like, I've seen Jalen Rose get on here and talk bad about Republicans and white people getting DUIs. I call people white boy wasted. I go, well, that's none of your concern, Dan. We treat everybody. I go, bullshit, you do. I go, I know what's going on here. So that got tiresome. And then, you come to OutKick and they're like, look, there are certain standards you gotta, like with Fox and whatever, but let's go. Let's do it. And I've never had more fun in a job, I don't think, ever in my life. No, it's great.
The coach, Dan Dakich, is our guest. OutKick is the platform. His show, it drops at various times throughout the course of the afternoon. I know when your show drops, Coach. You're not competition with me. That's why I have you on here promoting you.
There you go.
Because we're on from 10 to noon.
There you go.
But perfect. So tell me if this makes me soft. I hate college athletics now. I hate this NIL. I hate the transfer stuff. I hate that these 18, 19-year-old kids are mercenaries now. I'm not mad they're making money off their image or whatever. I think the NCAA got ridiculous on some of its rules, but I hate college athletics now. Am I a bad guy?
No, I don't hate it, but it's not my problem anymore. That's kind of how I address it. No, I think one of the things that people in the state of Indiana in particular, whether it was Katie or Knight or whoever, we all kind of grew up. You knew the players, right? You knew, hey, man, this guy's a freshman. Boy, when he's a junior, he's going to be really good. Or that guy was Mr. Basketball, and he's going to Purdue. And Purdue may be the only school that does it now. I just saw Indiana signed a kid from Georgia Tech, and my immediate thought was, how much is that kid getting paid? And what's the big deal? Why do you want a guy from Georgia Tech who was just bad enough to get his own coach fired? You know what I mean, Rob? It's like, what? Okay, make some logic of this. And there is no logic to it. There's not, Indiana, there's still value in coaching. And I think Indiana football has proven that. Indiana, and I'll give Scott Dolson, the AD, great credit. They were ahead of the curve. They already got their billionaires in order way before Cuban. Cuban was a Johnny-come-lately. But to your point, it's no different than what baseball became. Baseball, man, when I was growing up, I knew the Cubs lineup every day, every year. And you knew that at Indiana. All right, we got, Alford's coming back, Cheney, whoever's, whatever. And now I see why people don't necessarily like it. I don't watch it. I watch guys that are friends, like Dusty May, the Michigan coach. I hired him at Indiana to be a manager for us. So I always followed his career, or my son's team and whatever. But I loved watching Indiana football because it was something I'd never seen before. But 5 years from now, I don't know that I'll even be doing that. I get what you're saying. And I'll tell you something else, and this is somewhat amazing to me in the world we live in. Like, how does a kid, like the game itself, on the court's okay, but everybody knows that you're going to get donor fatigue. I ask you, Rob, to give us $100,000 to pay for Johnny Bag of Donuts. Johnny plays for a year, then he quits, and I got to come back to you and say, hey, man, how about another $100,000? Everybody knows, and that's coming, but nobody seems to, and it's not the NCAA's fault. NCAA makes rules and someone goes and sues and the judge, but nobody seems to give a shit about the state of the game or the institutions. Like, nobody really cares about, everybody cares about kissing the ass of 18 to 23-year-olds. And I really don't get that. I think at some point you better protect the school and the sport itself, and I don't see anybody really doing that.
Well, and I mentioned this because there was some guy, I think he was on Michigan. His name wasn't Lindemann, but it was close to Lindemann. And my dad and I started having a conversation about Todd Lindemann. And I said, that was Lindemann to me. And I said, think about it. That's a somewhat obscure player from the mid 90s, early 90s at IU. And yet I remember him fondly because I remember as a 5-6-year-old, my dad talking about, you see who Knight got now? He got this 7-footer. His name's Lindemann. Like those names, Calbert Cheney, Greg, all of these dudes, because they were a part of the program, they were part of my childhood. It's just all gone. Like none of these players now are going to be a part of anybody's childhood.
No, and they're not coming back. It's not coming back. I don't see. I know Indiana and Purdue. Indiana recruited a couple high school kids, and this is who it's really hurting. Like I asked my son the other day, they lost a couple kids, and they got a bunch of kids coming back, and I said, "Do you even recruit high school kids?" He said, yeah, we make sure we get 1 or 2 if we have 4 or 5 scholarships. But those are the people it hurts, Rob. The kid that, like me, just practicing his driveway when everybody else was dicking around. I was running in the rain, whatever. And you get a scholarship. Now, those kids aren't even looked at. Honest to God, there's a portal. About 50% of the kids in the NCAA are in the portal. Coach sits there like you and I are sitting here on our computer. They're looking to make a call. What's the kid's price? And, again, I go back to, is that really good for the health of the game? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Again, it's not my problem, but Rob, at some point, like people always bitch about the NCAA. I had this discussion with Dick Vitale actually on Twitter. He's always bitching about the NCAA. I said, all right. So the NCAA says that this kid that was at Alabama, he was in the G League. They say he's ineligible. Alabama needs a rebounder. So they go to a judge, and the judge says, no, he can play. Wait a second. The NCAA said, no, judge said he could play, so he plays. So how's that the NCAA's fault?
Yeah.
And I'm no great defender of anybody, but to me, you got to have some kind of antitrust exemption where everybody just can't sue every freaking rule that you make. It's insane to me.
I agree. The coach, Dan Dakich, is our guest. Okay, 2 questions about coaching for you, and then I have one very important question. My father will be just outraged if I don't ask. Do you miss coaching, and how do you think you would have handled IU? Where would IU be now if you'd have got the job after being the interim coach?
I don't miss coaching. And I'll tell you when I realized I didn't miss coaching. And my son and I, they gave Crean the job, and it's probably May. And I was living in Bloomington, and my son and I were going golfing with my nephew and my brother. And I'm driving in front of Assembly Hall on the way out to 69 or whatever it was called then, 37. And here's Crean. And I looked over in Assembly Hall parking lot, and here's Crean and his staff walking out, and one of the assistants has the full candy stripes on, and it's a Saturday morning, and they're going to a carload of recruits and it just looked miserable to me. It looked miserable. I believe, to your second question, if Indiana would have hired me, that we would have a national championship. I mean, people.
I agree.
Like,
I wanted you to have that job so bad, Coach. I didn't even know you back then.
People, well, you can't coach. Oh, okay. But I mean, I don't know, but I was about 53% with losing 2 of my best players for 7 years and 3 of them for 5 years. And it wasn't like, but that's easy to say. The team that I took over, my only regret in taking that team over is I didn't do what I wanted to do, which I told Greenspan, the AD, I want to kick every guy off except DJ White, Eric Gordon, Lance Stemler, Mike White, somebody else. I said, I want to kick everybody off. We'll just call it. They don't deserve to be here. They shouldn't be here. And they really, they're like, damn, we can't do that, blah, 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 blah. And I wish I'd have done it. I do. Looking back, I wish that, I would have done it because it was kind of interesting. Like, I never really had players that didn't do what I asked them to do. And these guys, man, I ended up not damn near nose to nose at halftime of a game with DJ White. I took off my shirt and told Jamal Crawford, not Jamal Crawford, what the hell's his name? Jordan Crawford, let's go. We're going to fight right here at halftime. Jamarcus Ellis. I mean, just a bunch of drug-addled douchebags that had no business wearing an IU uniform. And I wish, the only thing I regret, I wish I'd have just said, get the fuck out. Just get out.
Why didn't they want you? Because to me, like, I remember at the time, and this was all the talk, like, who are they going to hire? And I said, we have to hire an IU guy. He's been successful in terms of not only on the court, but also with cleaning up the program or trying to clean up the, what was it? I mean, like,
they were not going to interview me. And I called up Harry Gonzo, who was the head of the committee. I said, yo, am I getting an interview or what? Oh, yeah, I was going to call you today. I'm like, okay, so you're full of shit. So I go in there, and he did. The assistant athletic director, Tim Fitzpatrick, told me he doesn't know a goddamn thing about basketball. I hope I can swear on this. I'm sorry for doing it.
It's the internet, coach. It's the internet.
I figured. He goes, he doesn't know a thing about basketball. So I'm in there, and I'm listening to this Gonzo guy who's like the quarterback for the '69 Rose Bowl team and whatever, and he's the head of everything. And I'm sitting there going, I got no shot. And he says, man, I'd really like to hire you, but you went 3 and 4, and I don't think I can sell it. I go, so you're worried about a press conference? I go, as soon as the press conference is over, I'm going to be in every town in Indiana, and we're going to get everybody, blah, 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 blah. And I could just tell that, this wasn't. Years later, and I had no respect for Gonzo at all. A few years later, I'm doing an IU game. And this is me, Rob, and this is not the way to go through life, okay? But I'm standing there. It's Purdue IU game, and I'm down there with Tirico, and here comes Gonzo, and he wants to shake my hand. Dan, I just got to tell you, I go, don't say another fucking word. Get your fucking hand away from me and get the fuck away from me. And he looked at me like for a second, like, are you serious? And I could not have been more serious. And he turned and walked away. I don't know if he was going to say we made a mistake. I don't know what he was going to say. I don't care. And it wasn't, but I knew, I understand the business. But once I got the opportunity to get in the media, I loved it, and I wasn't going back to coaching.
Okay. And I'll get you out of here with this, Coach. You've been very generous with your time, man. Successful people fascinate me because I feel like they have common themes. And you were successful as a basketball player. You were successful as a coach, as an announcer. You've covered successful people. What are some of the traits that you have found, or is there a common thread that sort of is in all successful people?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I think number one, there's an element of humility. Like, there's an element of, you pay more attention than you do talk. Now, obviously, you and I are doing an interview, and when you interview people, you talk, and when you're getting interviewed. But in daily life, I don't know if I've been successful or not, but I do know this. I'm quiet. I don't, I'll dick around with people, but I mean, and I always realize that, like, man, the toughest guy isn't the guy that tells you how tough he is. The toughest guy is usually the guy that tells you how tough he isn't. And kind of watch and observe it. And the second thing, and this is something I always tell people, that I had probably the worst preparation to go to Indiana University to play basketball than anybody ever. We never watched film. We played a zone. Our practices were basically, in fact, it was so bad, we put out we bought my high school coach a lounge chair like you have at the beach. We said, Coach, if you're going to sit in the stands, your jacket on, might as well be comfortable. But when I went to Indiana, I really learned the value of preparation. And I think every person that I've run into, wherever it is, like people are, well, Mike Tirico is really good. Well, Mike Tirico and Jason Benetti are the two most prepared human beings I've ever been around in media, and it's not even close. And when, I'm not bragging, I guess I am, but when I would tell people how I prepared for a game, they're like, what? I go, yeah, I know I'm dumb, so I better, but I think there's a humility to successful people outwardly, but internally a real confidence. And I think preparation is huge, like massive, Rob. And I think a lot of people, the term wing it. Yeah, winging it gets a lot of people broke. Winging it gets a lot of people, out of work. And winging it ain't the way to go. And I've never met and again, I learned this from Coach Knight. I always say, I don't, I've been critical of Coach Knight, but I learned the value of preparing, because we didn't do that. I didn't do that in high school, not even a little bit.
How cool is it to be you? Like, I think about like the life you've lived, and I think about like when I was a kid, Coach. No, seriously, when I was a kid growing up, I heard about you, right? Like, so you have generations of people who talked about you, and that gets passed on. And I've often wanted to ask you like that. How cool is that to be you, and are you cognizant of that, of the impact that you've had on people?
I'm not cognizant of an impact. I would lie. I'd be lying if I said I did. I'm very cognizant of, for whatever the reason, and I've said this many times on Twitter, that it's been a incredible love affair, and I'm not sure why, between me and the state of Indiana, and not just Indiana basketball fans, but the state. And for whatever the reason, maybe it was because I'm such a bad player that everybody thought they were better than me, and we had a good game and people talk. I don't know, but it is remarkable, And how cool is it to be me? I like being me. I mean, I feel guilty sometimes because I've had an unbelievable life, great parents, great kids. I got an ex-wife that loves me. I got a current wife that is the love of my life. I mean, my ex-wife's husband stays with us when he's in town. I mean, it's, but I am very cognizant and very appreciative, unbelievably appreciative of the support and the love that I've received over probably since I was 17 years old, playing in the state finals until, whenever. I don't know if it's cool. I mean, I think I'm cool. My kids think I'm a dork. My daughter made fun of my neck. She goes, "Dad, you got to start wearing button-up shirts. You're an idiot. You look terrible." But I like my life.
Maybe you would let our audience, before we let you go, let our audience know the story of how Michael Jordan still owes you money.
He does. He absolutely does. And he's been reminded of it by me and others numerous times. He owes me $6,000 from 1984 in the Olympics. He was there, and in the summer, and I was there, and I'd go to practice all the time. And one day on a Sunday, I was at the golf course. Some of the guys at the golf course were my friends, and I have nothing to do. And I was messing around. I was a pretty good golfer, then. And I just played, and here comes Jordan and Timmy Knight, Knight's son, and Alford, and they needed a fourth. So I played, and I get some things wrong, but I don't think I'm getting this wrong. He said on like the fifth hole at the old IU course that he signed his Nike deal that day or that weekend, and money ain't nothing to me, he said. I said, well, money's something to me, and I'll bet you whatever the fuck you want to bet. And I beat him. Rob, we're sitting there. It's dark out. He doesn't want to leave. So we're putting balls in a sand trap on the 15th hole as a short par 4, and I don't know what he ended up really losing. It was double or nothing. I don't know what he lost, but I've rounded it to $6,000. And Rob, we went to the Wendy's by the mall. It's me, Jordan, Alford. I think Timmy Knight left, and we're sitting there. I go, "Man, you owe me $6,000." I know. I got you tomorrow. I said, all right. So I went to practice the next day, in Assembly Hall. I'm sitting there, and Robbie brings me a bag of this free stuff that he got, like Polaroid cameras. If you don't even know what a Polaroid camera is. Plain pocket Levi's. I don't even know what else, And he's like, "Here, I got you." I go, whoa, that's $6,000. You owe me $6,000. No, I got. And I remember. So Rob, fast forward. This is probably not. Well, it is 1993 because Calbert Cheney was coming out. My brother was the liaison between agents and Calbert. They invited us to a Bulls game, David Falk, the agent. So we're sitting there, and after he goes, "Hey, Michael wants to invite you guys back to his restaurant." So we go back, and Michael's in there with a group, this big room in the back of his restaurant. And we go in, and he's like, "Hey, Dan, come on back." So I'm sitting there. And Rob, I'm getting ready to leave. And I forgot to mention this. I would write him a letter every year. I got his home address from a friend. I'd write him a letter every year, Rob. You owe me $6,000. I have a basketball camp at my high school in Gary, Indiana. Come for 10 minutes. We'll go golfing after. $6,000 wiped away. And I never knew if he got the letter, Rob. I never knew.
Oh, that's great.
So the meal's over. Like after, I think he had 55 against the Knicks in the playoffs. So we're up there. We're Richard Dent's there, all these guys. And I'm like, "Hey, Mike, I'm getting out of here. You got a lot of people. Thanks for the invite. I'm leaving." He goes, "Hey, will you stop writing those fucking letters?" I go, "You owe me $6,000. He goes, "The meal." I go, "It wasn't that good." And I left. And I walked out. That's the last time I ever saw him.
OutKick is the website. Coach Dakich, you are a national treasure. Thank you, my friend.
You're always the best, Rob. Any way I can help, brother. Thanks.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Hi, I'm John Piper. I'm running for Congress in Indiana. I'm the only candidate in the United States of America exposing the crisis we have in mother's breast milk. Purdue University is a major player in that. Purdue is selling our veterinarians to out-of-state corporations for big money. Bobby Kennedy needs to know about it effective immediately. We are 55,000 veterinarians short across the United States. My two major opponents, Craig Haggard and Jim Barrett, are both protecting the Iranian terror cell in Plainfield, Indiana. I'm John Piper. I approve this message. Paid for Friends for Piper for Congress.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
I'm Doug Cobb for Clay County Commissioner. I'm running to bring transparency back to our local government. As a concerned citizen, I want to know what's going on. We need new and fresh ideas for today's challenges. We need a vision for future generations. As a small business owner, I want to explore and promote opportunities to make us all successful. Let's create a brighter future for Clay County together. I'm Doug Cobb, running for Clay County Commissioner, and I approve this message. Paid for by Linda Cheesem.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, it's the like, it's the share, it's the subscribe. Hit that little thumbs up button for us. Subscribe to the feed if you haven't done so yet. And most importantly, perhaps of all, share the feed. If you're on Facebook right now, if you're on Twitter, just share our feed. Let people know this show has grown organically and this show grows because of you. Look, we are the option. I think the other guys have proven we are the option, especially in this 10 to noon time slot of giving you the takes you deserve on Indiana news, politics, and government. And we're happy to do it, but we got to grow. We got to grow organically, and we need you guys to help us out. Continue to do that. Hey, don't leave your biggest investment to chance. Work with Lauren Wilson, realtor who's Hoosier through and through, and a military vet. She's dedicated to a higher standard of service. Lauren Wilson is ready to help you start your next chapter. Look, she gets that moving is a big life change. It's about big life changes. Whether you're upgrading for a growing family or downsizing for retirement, Lauren Wilson is there for you. She'd love to get to know you, even if you're not in the moving business or the home buying business or the home selling business right now. Call her. Get to know her. Lauren Wilson with At Properties, 317-590-2290, 317-590-2290. All right. In a little bit, we're going to get to, the Capital Chronicle had this article. There's an incredible story about a lawsuit that the state treasurer is involved in, like a personal lawsuit, not related to his job as state treasurer. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But also, speaking of the Capital Chronicle, they had an interesting expose on one of the most high-profile races in the state this primary season, and it involves Travis Holdman. Now, Travis Holdman is one of the highest ranking. In fact, he's probably the number 2 guy in the Indiana Senate. He is the head of the Senate Tax and Fiscal Policy Committee. So he controls the money in the state of Indiana. And I thought this article was interesting because it goes into, look, Travis Holdman is a complete zero. He is a complete and utter zero. But the guy he's running against isn't much better. And it's like, I'm reading this article going, well, what would I do if I lived there? I mean, I would never vote for Travis Holdman. And I want to see, this is the struggle I'm having with so many of these contested primaries this year, where the incumbent is a loser, a complete and total zero who has done immense harm to us as a state. But then I read about the people that they're running against, and I'm like, well, if the opposition isn't much better, do you just vote for the opposition no matter what? Or do you leave it blank? Like, I leave a lot of my ballot blank every year, and it's one of the things I'm struggling with in my own state house race. Jeff Thompson, head of Ways and Means, is my representative. He sucks. He's awful. I mean, beyond awful. And there is a woman running against him. I've kind of read about her. She kind of stinks, too. And so I'm like, why can't I just get someone good to vote for? Last year in the Senate primary, 2 years ago, it was Brett Clark against a woman from the Avon School Board. I'm like, I hate both of you people. Not hate, like physically hate them, but like, I read about you and I know what you've done as elected officials. Brett Clark was the former sheriff. It just sucks not having, do you guys feel this way? That it just sucks not having anybody good to vote for? And maybe I'm jaded. Maybe I've just reached a point where I've been screwed over so many times that I'm like, I can't even bring myself to like people running for public office. But I also thought this said a lot about Holdman. So Holdman is 75 years old. He's 75 years old. Of course he's an attorney. Because have you guys ever noticed how many of these people that are in our public offices are attorneys? And he's been there since 2008. I was still in college in 2008. I'm a grown ass man with a child. Like I've how many jobs have I had since 2008? Let's see. I owned a radio station, owned a sports streaming company, worked at a golf course, worked for the state. Like, I didn't even know how government worked in 2008. That's how long ago it was. If you'd asked me what the tax increment finance district is, I'd looked at you and gone, duh. Like, what else have I done? I had the night show on YRZ. I had the show on IBC. I worked for I've done so many things in my life since 2008. And this guy has been there screwing up our state every single year, and he won't go home. Look, I'm sorry. People do many great things after the age of 70, but I'm sorry. 70 years old, that's my cutoff. Like, you should not be able to run for public office after the age of 70. You want to finish a term after 70? I'm okay with that. But if you have not accomplished in your public elected life whatever it is by the age of 70, you're done. There's many great things you can do. Run a nonprofit, help small children, give generously, whatever. There's many great things that older people can do in life. But if you have not accomplished it by the age of 70, you're out. And this guy is 75. And it is the line from Judge Smales in Caddyshack. Don't you people have homes? Doesn't this guy have a home? Can't he go somewhere and do something else? And the answer is no, and I'm going to tell you why. Capitol Chronicle did the math, including his per diem and his leadership bonuses. Holdman makes $89,000 a year. $89,000 a year. This year he worked 2 months out of the year. January, February, session done. This is why these people cling to these jobs like grim death. This is why. They have all this power. They have all this influence. They're awful at their jobs. There's nowhere else other than politics you could be as bad at your job as Travis Holdman is and still stay there. He doles out favors. He screws the taxpayers. He gets huge money from donors. And then he makes $89,000 and he gets to go lord over people. So this is what I struggle with, because then I'm like, okay, well, let me learn about the guy that Holdman's running against. It's got to be a better option, right? And then I started remembering the guy Holdman's running against. What is this dude's name? His name is Blake. I think it's Feichter is how it's pronounced. Feichter. He's on the Bluffton City Council. So Travis Holdman's district is northwest Indiana. It's up towards Fort Wayne. And this guy he's running against has so little idea of what's going on. He's solely running because Trump randomly tweeted his name one day. Wasn't thinking about running, wasn't going to run, wasn't like, man, I would be a great state senator. He's solely running because Trump tweeted his name. He got in because Trump tweeted his name. He's like, well, Trump said I have to do it, so I guess I have to do it. What kind of way is that to live your life? Well, Trump said I have to do it, so I better do it. He gets in, decides he's going to run because Trump tweets his name out, because Trump's mad at Holdman about redistricting. And then he's like, oh, crap, this is a lot of work. Yeah, 2 counties to run through. I got a lot of things going on. I'm not running now. And there was like, okay, well, I guess that's he's not running. And then the guy randomly showed back up at the White House one day with a bunch of people who were these other challengers to incumbents who voted against redistricting. And it's like, oh, I guess he's running again. And now he's running. What? I want people who want to be there. I want people who go, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to kick ass and I'm going to take names. And I'm going to do it on behalf of the taxpayers. And I'm really angry about what's going on. And I'm not running for Donald Trump. And I'm not running about redistricting. I'm running because everyone's getting screwed. And Travis Holdman is one of the lead guys screwing everyone. That's who I want. Like, you notice in these challengers that are running around the Trump endorsement, there's no real anger. You don't see real anger from any of these people. You have real anger. I have real anger. What you got? Many of you know this. Years ago, I almost ran for state senate. In fact, the famous Rob Kendall headshot. Jason actually took that photo, by the way. I remember the day he took that photo. Was from when I was going to run for state senate. And I was going to run because I was really angry about how our current senator was screwing communities in his district. I was angry. Like I had an army of people. Like I built an army of people a year and a half ahead of the election. Like hundreds of people. And we were going to go in there. We were going to beat the brakes off this guy. And then I woke up one day and I was like, okay, I win. And then what? It wasn't like now where there's all these people that are running. Like it was one of the few. Like I was going to be one of the few viable people who was going to run and win. I'm like, okay, so I run and win. And then I'm in there and I'm one guy. And then what? They would quickly kick me out of the caucus. I would just stand in the atrium by myself each day and bitch and moan and not get anything done. And that's when I came up with the idea, I've got to go back to radio. I've got to go back to media to try to motivate people to run, which is why I was enthused when all these people were running. And then I realized, but they're running to make Trump happy, not us. Like, this is what I've always wanted, except around a cause that mattered for Hoosiers. I love that there's all these challengers. I just hate that they're only running about Trump. And so in this article, they asked, what was this guy's name? He's the Wells County. It's one of the counties in the district that Holdman oversees. His name was Preston Wright. Sounds like a guy out of an 80s Hughes villain, like in a John Hughes movie. Who's the villain? Preston Wright. Like James Spader should be in the movie with him. Preston Wright. Oh, of course. He worked for Jim Banks. Of course he did. Yeah, Preston Wright sounds like a Jim Banks minion. Like if you were to say, what would the name of a Jim Banks minion be, who could have been a villain in an 80s Hughes movie? Preston Wright. Be first and front. That would be the first name I would choose. But he said he thinks, and this is what's interesting, because Banks is all in on the endorsements. Banks is one of the biggest Trump ass kissers in the world. But this guy said he thinks most people in his district understand that the Trump endorsements are based on nothing but the redistricting vote. He called this is hilarious. He called Holdman, quote, a solid conservative. This was the guy that helped write the property tax law that screwed everyone. This is the guy in charge of our money in the state of Indiana. How could you remotely look at what's happened the past 10 years in our state and go, anybody in charge is remotely a solid conservative? But he said, quote, if it weren't for his no vote on redistricting, Trump would have no issue with him. Yes, that's true. This is why I hate what Trump's doing. Trump is not mad about our property taxes or our utility bills or that Medicaid is a complete corrupt dumpster fire or that the IEDC is a complete corrupt dumpster fire or that people are getting screwed left and right in our state. He's not mad about the fact that the governor's proposing $6.5 billion of tax increases to drive on our roads. He's not mad about any of that. He's mad that some guy voted against redistricting. There's a million reasons to hate Travis Holdman and the job he has done in the Indiana Senate. But Trump's not focused on those things, which could actually help this guy win, which then he could go in there and actually help Hoosiers. The guy didn't even want to run. I'm not going to get anything out of this guy. And I just hate it. I mean, like, okay. For you in the YouTube chat, because we'll have the YouTube chat coming up here later. By the way, if you guys don't know, towards the end of each show, we read the best YouTube comments of the day. And we have a great community over there. If you haven't participated yet, join them. The only thing you have to do to chat is you have to be a subscriber to our channel. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. You can join the YouTube chat. I would be fascinated to know, if you are watching us or listening to us in a district that has one of these contested races, do you like the challenger? And if you're like me, where you like all these people stink, are you going to vote for the challenger even though he or she stands for nothing that really appeals to you? Like, help me with my own race, because I have this. I've read the mailers of the challenger. She seems like she's going to be awful too. But I hate Jeff Thompson. I can't vote for him. I feel like he needs to be punished because he's horrible at his job. But then am I facilitating more bad government by voting for the challenger? Like, do you guys have this issue? Let me know. Let me know how you guys are doing, how you guys are handling it, because I don't know. Voting is so depressing. You know, the one person I'm excited to vote for? There's a county council race, my guy that I've gotten to know pretty well. Anthony Gary is running for Hendricks County Council. If you live in Brownsburg, I don't do endorsements anymore. I will tell you I'm voting for him. He's the guy. Like, I believe good behavior should get rewarded. Anthony Gary, he'll hear this later. He's a big fan of our show. Anthony Gary is the guy. Remember last year when they banned me from the Hendricks County Lincoln Day dinner? You guys remember that? When I was going to go, and then I was talking about how I was going to have the audacity to ask Diego Morales who paid for India. And then I was going to had the audacity to ask Micah Beckwith how he went to the NBA Finals with a high-profile known felon, how he got that ticket. And then the party freaked out, and they told the guy, that he wasn't allowed to take me. That's Anthony Gary. That's my dude. So it's like, you got to reward good behavior. So I don't do endorsements anymore after Micah and Braun totally burned me, but I am voting for him. And if you live in Hendricks County, I would encourage you in Brownsburg, it's the way the county council districts work out, learn about that race. Anthony's a really, really good dude. And he got stones. He was like, we're not uninviting Rob. Rob's going or I'm not going either. And he gave his tickets back. I like that. Need more people that stand up for me. Hey, before choosing a mortgage, it's smart to talk with someone you trust and can actually sit down with because he's local. That's Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage, a local lender helping buyers and homeowners across central Indiana with home purchases, refinancing, and strategies to manage debt using home equity. Gary focuses on education and guidance so you understand your options before making a decision. No pressure, just solid advice from someone like you. You got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. Visit loansbygary.homes, or call for a free no obligation quote 317-695-5179, 317-695-5179. See, this is the great thing about Gary. You go to loansbygary.homes, you call the phone number 317-695-5179. You tell him your situation. He'll take a look at what he can do. If it's not cheaper, you don't do anything. You just say, thanks for supporting Rob. Have a nice day. And that'd be a very Hoosier thing of you to do. Tell him to have a nice day. Gary Tedrow, in MLS, number 179207 with Verity Mortgage. In MLS, number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender. Okay, coming up in just a little bit, David Shelton is going to join us. He's the Knox County Clerk. He's running for Secretary of State against Diego Morales, and he is going to bring the smoke on why we got to get rid of Diego. How the Republicans are likely to lose that office if they renominate Diego Morales at convention. But first, we've got to talk about this lawsuit involving the Indiana State Treasurer. This story fascinates the hell out of me. I actually talked to Daniel Elliott earlier today. He has a statement. He has prepared a statement that I'm going to read on this. This is crazy. So Daniel Elliott is the state treasurer. Before that, he was super involved in Morgan County politics. He was the Morgan County state treasurer. He's a farmer. And I'm going to read you this part of the story from the Indiana Capitol Chronicle because it is like crazy that what is alleged to have gone down. And Elliott has responded to this. He gave me a statement to read. And look, full credit to Elliott. A lot of these politicians, they run, they hide, they whatever. He's like, here's my statement. Here's what's going on. Tell the public. Let them know. I said, okay, great. All right. So State Treasurer Daniel Elliott filed a complaint April 8th in Morgan Superior Court and names the Morgan County Public Library Foundation, the Morgan County Veterans Memorial, and the Morgan County History Center and Museum as defendants. All right. So you're like, what? What is happening? This guy's the sitting state treasurer, but this is not related to his job as treasurer. This is related to him as a person and his wife. So in the lawsuit, Elliott and his wife and their business, the Source Cowork LLC, allege, and you realize the names I read out here. It's the Morgan County Public Library Foundation, Morgan County Veterans Memorial, and the Morgan County History Center and Museum. Like, these are not names you normally associate with, like, huge lawsuits, but this is a big one. So, according to the Capitol Chronicle, they allege breach of contract, unjust enrichment, and other claims tied to long-running arrangement involving a building at 75 and 77 East Washington Street in Martinsville that has Elliott and his wife, according to them, out $250,000. I'm reading this like, what is going on? So the Elliott's claim in this lawsuit that a binding agreement was reached with the library that entitled them to ownership of that property at 75 and 77 East Washington Street after meeting certain conditions. But according to the court filings, no agreement was included as an exhibit in the filed lawsuit. The attorney for one of these groups, the attorney for the Library Foundation, his name is Dale Coffey. He said, quote, "There's no agreement attached to the complaint. That's got to tell you something." When asked whether any contract had been formalized between the parties, Coffey said flatly, "No, there is none." Okay. So basically, to summarize this, what this dates back to is in 2015, so long before he's in public office, Daniel Elliott and his wife went to the Library Foundation, and they looked at this building. We gave you the address, and according to them, it was falling apart. It's a dilapidated building. It's run down. And he said, "We would like to take over this building. We'd like to buy this building from you. We would like to have it for various business reasons. Give us a price. Let's do it." According to the Elliots, then, the Library Foundation came back to them and said, "Nah, we're not going to sell this building to you. But if you form a nonprofit entity, you occupy it and rehabilitate the building and make it a space that the community can use as a free co-working space, the property will be conveyed to you, quote, for no additional consideration." That is in the court filings. So basically, hey, we won't sell this to you, but we recognize the value in, and again, this is what Elliott claimed happened. We recognize the value in this building getting revamped. We don't have the money to do it. You form this nonprofit. You do this. You run it. We'll hand it over to you after a certain period of time. These things happen all the time. Very, very common practice. However, the lawsuit states Elliott accepted the terms, took possession of the property, formed the Source Cowork LLC. Court documents then claim, quote, in reliance upon promises made, they took possession of the property, made improvements to the property worth approximately $250,000. So Elliott and his wife accept the terms, put $250,000, $250,000 into the property. Then this is where this gets spicy. So we're talking 2024 now, 9 years after this happened. The lawsuit alleges the arrangement unraveled in late 2024 when the library transferred the property without notice to the Elliotts to the Morgan County Veterans Memorial. So according to Elliott, we have this agreement. According to Elliott, we'll do all the work. We'll put the $250,000 in. And then once we've satisfied the terms of the agreement, you give us the building. However, according to the attorney for the Library Foundation, there ain't no agreement. This is so crazy because he's a sitting office holder. He controls money for the state of Indiana, right? Like we've had Elliott on. We like Elliott. He's very transparent. Comes on our show. He's the one guy holding up the Bears Stadium right now. Like, we like Elliott. But this is crazy to me. So the transfer, dated September 2024, was followed by another in December of 24 when the Veterans Memorial conveyed the property to the Morgan County History Center and Museum, also for no consideration, meaning that no money was exchanged. So, boy, these people must really not like Daniel Elliott, because he claims they gave it to him, or were going to give it to him, under the agreement you put $250,000 large in, which he claims he did, met all the requirements. The library then was like, yeah, you can go screw yourself. Gave it to the Veterans Memorial instead of giving it to him. And then they gave it, instead of giving it to him, to the Morgan County History Center and Museum for no money. So here are two questions that I need answered, because I think these are worthwhile questions. And again, I'm not trying to pry into the business of the Elliots. This probably would not be a news story if he was not the state treasurer. He is the state treasurer. He does cut deals all the time on our behalf of the state of Indiana. So how he's handled his business is newsworthy. Now, it sort of seems like he's getting the shaft here, but I got to know two things. One, who does $250,000 worth of work to a building over 9 years without a signed agreement that's going to pay off at some point? And so that's my question to Elliott is, do you have a signed agreement? If not, why did you do $250,000 worth of work without some guarantee you were going to get the building? And then the relevant question to that is, are you handling the state contracts the same way? I mean, this is what it really all comes down to me. Do you have a signed contract or don't you? Is there some sort of email or verbal something saying, hey, you're entitled to this building? There has to be something. And if you wrote this contract this badly, are our own state contracts being written this poorly? Two, on the other side, for these nonprofits that appear to kind of be screwing Elliott over, what reason would there be for someone to do $250,000 worth of work without an assumption it is going to benefit the person doing it? It sounds like there's rotten people all over the place here. It sounds like our state treasurer made a horrible mistake by not getting a signed contract if indeed one doesn't exist. And most importantly, what I want to know is someone who pays the bills, are you doing the contracts for the state as bad as you doing the contracts in your personal life? All right. So Elliott did respond. He gave me a written statement. He said, you may read this on the air, and I will do just that. And kudos to Elliott. Not running, not hiding. He called me right away. I messaged him. He said, here's the deal. My wife, Laura, and I had an agreement with the Morgan County Public Library to renovate a dilapidated property owned by the library. Because the library had no interest in maintaining the unoccupied property, we reached an agreement where we would take it over and rehabilitate the building. Over several years, we invested significant time and personal funds into improving the property based on the understanding we would take ownership. Okay, this is where I got to stop, though. I'm stopping the statement for a minute, right? This is not his statement. This is the words of Rob Kendall. Do you have an agreement? Is there something in writing that says, I signed, you signed, we all signed, right? Like, I am here today because I signed an agreement with the former employer. That agreement, upon ending the time with the former employer, allowed me to come here and do this. I was very cognizant. Radio ain't going to last forever. What does that look like for me? I had that put into, that I could come here, that I can do these things. Like, What are we doing? What are you doing? You're the state treasurer. This is the most basic of stuff, right? Like, you're spending. Who spends $250,000 without a guarantee that that you get the building? What are we doing? Daniel seems like a really smart guy. Like when Jason and I bought a radio station years ago. Do you know how much paperwork was involved in that? Attorneys, sign here. Sign this. This gets you this. Like, wouldn't you have asked at some point, hey, is this in writing? Like, can you show me the form where it says you get the building? Like, I had the thing from the attorney, the final contract. Here it is. Sign here. The radio station is yours. I wish we hadn't got the radio station in hindsight. You want to lose big money? Go buy a radio station. Ask anybody in the history of ever since about 2010. Elliott goes on to say, we were blindsided. We discovered the library transferred ownership of the property to the museum without our knowledge or consent. We learned of this decision through a newspaper article. Attempts were unsuccessful in resolving the dispute, leaving us no choice but to file a lawsuit. We believe it is unjust for a large public institution to benefit from the years of investment our family made and then walk away from the agreement without explanation. Okay, guys, look, I'm not an attorney. This is fascinating to me. I'm very into this. I'm not going to lie. I read this morning and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. Okay, what appears to have happened here is that indeed this guy did do $250,000 worth of work without an agreement. I mean, that's what it appears right now. Maybe we'll find some smoking gun down the road. Now, Daniel, I love you. That's dumb beyond belief, and I need to know you're handling our state finances much better than this. And everybody should be asking this, by the way. It's fair game. And I think if Daniel were sitting here right now, he'd say it's fair game. Because if you did this without an agreement, signed, sealed, and delivered, you screwed up big time. Now, if you're one of these nonprofits who's involved in this, and indeed that's went down the way that it's being described, you guys suck too. You guys are rotten if this is accurate. Because this guy, it sounds like it's not in dispute that he put the money into the building. It's not in dispute that he did the work. Like, you're supposed to serve the community. You guys are supposed to do things that are for the betterment of the community. If you make a deal with someone, like whether there's an agreement or not, you're a nonprofit. This isn't cutthroat Wall Street. It sounds like the guy put the money into the building. It sounds like he did the thing who puts $250,000 into a building and they're like, no, I'll never get anything out of this. It sounds like they're not kind of doing the right thing either, if indeed the descriptions are accurate. But who knows? It'll all play out. I just read this and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to cover this story. We have to read this because it's so fascinating to me on so many levels. All right. Hey, leaky chimney, water in the basement, cracks around the exterior of your home. Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants is your authority for chimney repair, tuck pointing, foundation repair, crawl space to basement conversions, basement waterproofing, and more. Bramwell Mackay doesn't offer quick patches. Their team of 40-year master masons and industry experts address the root cause and provide solutions that last lifetimes. Your home is one of your biggest investments. Treat it that way. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY.com, your masonry, foundation, and chimney specialist. Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, David Shelton, running for Secretary of State at the Republican Convention, will join us, and he is going to tell us the bad news that could be in for the Republican Party if they don't dump Diego Morales this June. We'll talk about it next. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, a realtor with App Properties. Born and raised right here in central Indiana and a Hoosier through and through. Selling your home is a massive undertaking, and I completely understand what that is. That's why when you work with me, we put a great plan together to make sure that when your home comes to the market, it is in the best light possible. Again, I'm Lauren Wilson, 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. Let's put a plan together and get your home sold.
I'm Doug Cobb for Clay County Commissioner. I'm running to bring transparency back to our local government. As a concerned citizen, I want to know what's going on. We need new and fresh ideas for today's challenges. We need a vision for future generations. As a small business owner, I want to explore and promote opportunities to make us all successful. Let's create a brighter future for Clay County together. I'm Doug Cobb, running for Clay County Commissioner, and I approve this message. paid for by Linda Cheesem.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Hi, I'm John Piper. I'm running for Congress in Indiana. I'm the only candidate in the United States of America exposing the crisis we have in mother's breast milk. Purdue University is a major player in that. Purdue is selling our veterinarians to out-of-state corporations for big money. Bobby Kennedy needs to know about it effective immediately. We are 55,000 veterinarians short across the United States. My two major opponents, Craig Haggard and Jim Barrett, are both protecting the Iranian terror cell in Plainfield, Indiana. I'm John Piper. I approve this message. Paid for Friends for Piper for Congress.
Welcome back, Rob Kendall Show. Let's get to the big question everybody's asking. Will the Republicans finally dump Diego Morales? This is the question on everybody's mind. Convention coming up, joined in studio by, well, I guess you're one of the people challenging Diego Morales. David Shelton, Knox County Clerk. David, hello.
Hey, how are you, Rob?
Okay, so let's ask the question that I think every candidate deserves to be asked. Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you running for Secretary of State? Did you lose a bet? Did you draw a short straw? Why are you subjecting yourself to the scrutiny of public?
You definitely have to be a little bit mad at yourself, but I'm a self-professed election nerd. I really am. And as an election administrator, this is a destination spot. It's not any kind of stepping stone whatsoever. I'm seeing what's going on in the office currently, and frankly, it's embarrassing. There's a lack of integrity, and I intend to restore integrity back to that office.
Why do I asked this to this is Lori Schillings. I've asked this to Ballard. Why do the Republicans keep excusing Diego Morales? Why do they put up with it?
I cannot answer that question. It's one of the biggest frustrations I have. I'm old-fashioned. I believe we should hold our own to an even higher standard. I understand party loyalty, but the current office holder is an embarrassment. He is a liability at top of the ballot this fall. And that's why I'm going to unseat him.
Look at you bringing the smoke. And I've said in the past, you're too nice. We're done with that guy. I like that. Very good. So let's talk about you for a little bit, and then we'll get maybe back more into the current office holder of the election itself. Knox County Clerk. That's what you do. What is that?
Knox County Clerk. I'm in charge of the elections as well as several functions. Yeah, I'm actually qualified and have experience for the office that I'm seeking. It seems to be a novel concept. It's kind of frustrating seeing everybody jumping in. To be honest, I am surprised there's not 50 people running. But as of right now, I'm the only qualified candidate among any of the candidates across all the parties.
So you literally do this for a job right now, elections?
I do that for a job on my way up here. I drove about 2 hours to come here today. I had 3
Just to be with us?
Yes.
Oh, we could have done it via Zoom.
No, this is fun. I enjoy seeing you, Rob.
All you candidates should be like Shelton. Everybody should be like Shelton. 2 hours.
I drove a 5-hour round trip for an event where nobody showed up earlier. That was a bit
You got to do that a lot, right, as a candidate?
You do. And, my run, especially with being a convention run, I'm trying to target the 1,800 delegates, roughly 1,800. And it's fishing in the dark because they're not officially selected until the primary.
How do you handle that right now? So let me get to that in a second. Let's explain a little bit more about what you do. So your literal job, and you live this, right? You're not just like some guy, because a lot of times like the clerk and the treasurer and the assessor, like they all just keep trading positions. You're really passionate about actually elections.
I upset the apple cart in my county when I first ran in 2018. They had a system where serve 2 terms, move the treasurer, 2 terms, move to recorder, 2 terms, run to the clerk again. And I upset that apple cart, and I expose a lot of stuff that had been not done for a number of years and fixed a lot of problems. I'm a problem solver, and I pride myself in that.
Like, to the point where, and I don't want to spend a bunch of time on this, but like, you invented some gizmo to make the elections more secure.
I did, in use in
What
about...
is that? You brought it with you.
I brought it with me. So this is a decommissioned e-poll book right here.
So, okay, so let's explain this to everyone. An e-poll book is what you sign when you go in to vote. My name is Sally Smith, and I live at such and such address. They pull you up. Can I see your ID? Okay, Mrs. Smith, sign here.
Correct.
And then you're checked off.
And you're checked off. And the e-poll books themselves, I actually had to change state law to find a permissible reuse for them. So a number of years ago, I proposed
That's how you spend your spare time.
In my spare time, I've been responsible for about 10 election law changes since I've been county clerk.
Well, I've got to really get my game together then. I've got 0.
2 this year. And our current office holder had 0 this year. He had 0 his first year in office. He likes taking credit for other people's work, but I'm doing it as a county clerk.
This is what we need. We need someone like you in there. By the way, everybody, you know the deal, right? Everybody should be cheering for you if they're a decent member of society at the convention. Now, a general election, all bets are off, right?
Right.
But in the convention, any member of decent society has to be cheering for you because you actually know what the hell you're doing.
That's my feeling, but politics are a little strange. I don't know if you ever noticed, but some people involved in politics may lie every now and then. So I'm taking everything with a grain of salt, but the feedback that I'm getting, the outreach, the unsolicited words of encouragement is encouraging because I'm not asking for affirmation. They're just telling me what's going on.
What is this thing that you brought?
So this e-poll book here, decommissioned one, we can talk about the laws and all that stuff a little bit later on. This small device on the side is called an encoder.
Okay.
What it does with microvote machines that are in use about 2/3 of the counties in Indiana, the encoder will program the vote card for one-time use, repeated one-time use, with the correct ballot for the voter. So in Knox County, I'm a small county, but I have 52 separate ballots this year. Actually, I have 56 this year.
Right.
So this will program the card. You put it in a vote machine. It brings up the correct ballot.
So it goes from I'm Sally Smith, I live at such and such address. It identifies what your ballot's supposed to look like. It goes in that card, and then it goes in a machine.
Goes in a machine. If you don't use this, you have to manually select it. You have the potential for human error,
right,
picking the wrong one. The problem with the design from the manufacturer is there's no support. It gets what I call the wiggles.
Looks loose.
The encoder there, loose there, and especially the power cable itself is loose.
Right.
This causes charging problems because it charges through this encoder, keeps the iPad charged up, and charges this. And this has been a big problem. So we have encoding errors. So you went and put the card in the machine, and it gives you an error message, which affects the appearance of the integrity of the election process. I mean, it's an easy fix, but we don't need any kind of bad PR when it comes to our elections here. So I realized this was a problem. I designed a stabilizer bracket. Now, this is a whole process. I had a rough sketch, and I'm not an artist. I found a guy that does computer-aided drafting, came up with an STL file. I then found a guy that does 3D printing, went through 3 or 4 prototypes, decided I had a good working product here. Then I found a patent attorney, had it patented. I ended up winning a national award from the EAC for innovations.
This is how into elections he is.
I have more trophies for being a clerk and an election administrator than I did for Little League baseball and football. I never thought I'd have a trophy case for being a clerk.
So you're like governments are using this now.
This is in use in about 35 counties in Indiana and over 50 counties in Georgia.
You better hope it works. You're about to do it live on the feed.
I did. On there, and it's rock solid. This is rock solid. Plus, the opening for the card's larger and beveled. The older poll workers have no problem getting it in there.
I love that.
Now,
this is what we need. We need, no offense, don't take this the wrong way. We need a boring nerd who just likes his job in elections.
I've already had...
How about that for a compliment?
Right there. I've already had a sit-down meeting with the Inspector General's office. This can present me a problem if I win nomination. There's a potential for a conflict of interest, and in my opinion, the appearance of an impropriety is an impropriety. So if I do secure the nominee in June, I'm either going to have to sell my little business or simply deprive humanity of my creation while I'm in office.
David Shelton is our guest, Knox County Clerk, running this at convention in June for Secretary of State. You go all over the state. You talk to these delegates or potential delegates. Do they buy Diego Morales' BS, or are they just like being nice to him?
They're being nice. They're showing respect for the office. There are still a handful of what I call Diego apologists who believe his claims of fake news. Have you ever been called fake news?
I have been. I once at it was a motor vehicle advisory board meeting while people were enjoying their chicken. He started shouting about me being fake news.
That's correct. Yeah. So there's a few people that still believe that. You know, we have our fair share of political groupies who are just enamored with a statewide office holder. And but
is that what it is? It's like Taylor Swift?
I really think it is, to be honest with you. And I may have been guilty of that with a few individuals over time. Maybe getting to the close to being a fanboy status with a couple of them, but they're just people. They're imperfect people. Yeah. Everybody is, even you, Rob.
Yes, I am very imperfect.
Yeah.
But Morales does it in a malicious sense. He knows what he's doing. All of this BS, it's not he's some naive person. It all seems like scheming and scamming.
It does, and he's got some good advisors. He walks right up to the line on a number of issues. You know, we're getting campaign emails to official government email accounts, but it's just this close to crossing the line. And unfortunately, with these governmental email accounts and what's coming from his official SOS office email account, I can't block. I can't unsubscribe to it. So I just have to delete when I get them.
Well, we were talking the other day. Everything with him is a 24/7 campaign machine, including the website. The Secretary of State's website is a Diego Morales campaign machine.
It's a personal photo album of him spending our money. I mean, I will give him credit. He is really good at spending other people's money.
That's you're damn right.
He is. You know, he loves talking about resources, and he's been very successful with his fundraising. You know, strong arming auto dealers, the pay to play, the no bid contract, and everything.
I love this version of you.
So, well, it's always been there.
So
it really
nice.
is.
Yeah. Okay. So, how do you get those people off of him at the convention? What is the sales pitch? Because there's no doubt you're infinitely more competent than he is. But you're right. There's this bizarre emotional attachment people get to politicians. How do you move enough of those people into your camp?
Well, that's already in the works. My campaign has really been a stealth campaign. You know, people are fearful for retribution for publicly supporting me. You know, we have a mutual acquaintance that was actually fired last year for appearing in a photograph with me.
That's right.
At a campaign event.
And okay, let's talk about that for a second. And here's part of the problem. I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay.
Because she's spinning this BS now because she's running for public office too about what an honor it was to work for that guy. What of this? What of that? Don't you see that and go, well, now you're part of the problem because you know what that guy did. You know why you ended up where you ended up. And you're being part of the problem by not being honest.
I will just say politics does make strange bedfellows from time to time on that. That's her gig. I'm fighting my own fight.
You let her know if she does it again. I'm going to respond on her feed with it because I've had enough of it.
I've seen the interaction. I have. She really is a good person.
She may be, but she's becoming part. And this is the problem, right? These people get in the system, and then instead of doing what's right, they do what's the path of least resistance to their thing. She did get treated horribly.
Well, you know, like what your criticism of me being too quiet, too boring, you know, that's part of the plan. You got to get into the system to affect positive change. And she's taking a little bit of a different approach where she's going in with your so-called establishment people or whatnot to get in there. But I know her. I know her heart is pure. She will be a good public servant.
All right, a couple minutes left with David Shelton. He is running on the Republican side for Secretary of State. You ran in 2022.
A very brief campaign, less than 3 months.
And I told everybody they should vote for you. I said, you can't vote for Sullivan because she's Holcomb. Morales is going to be a disaster. I said, the Shelton guy is the most competent by far. What did you learn from 22 that's helping you in 26?
Well, the biggest lesson was you need to do more than a 3-month campaign statewide. You know, almost since the first day he took office, or maybe it was the day after he hired his brother-in-law, I started getting calls from former Diego supporters saying, hey, you got to run again. I have buyer's remorse big time. So people remember at that time I had the endorsement of like 64 Indiana county clerks, my fellow election administrators. And who best would know who would be the best person for the job as a top election administrator than your local election administrators. But people remembered that I had that kind of strong support from the people who really matter when it comes to our elections. And there's just been a lot of words of encouragement over the years, even before I decided I was going to run. You know, his performance at the budget hearings, 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago now, is what pushed me over the edge. You know, I was trying to be a good Republican. I'm a county chairman.
Can't do it.
You support your incumbents traditionally, but that pushed me over the edge. He abjectly refused to answer any questions related to the hiring and creation of a new position for his brother-in-law, the $90,000 vehicle, the no-bid multi-million-dollar contract with campaign kickbacks on the backside. We can't have that anymore. We will lose that office this fall if he is a nominee. No doubt in my mind whatsoever. If I'm the nominee, you get somebody who's competent, no baggage, no drama, no controversies, and the Democrats will have nothing to run on.
What about well, and I was going to say, and this is a compliment. You, Elliott, and what's her name? Elise Nishala. You would be the most boring team ever, and you'd win running away. I mean, there's no controversy. I mean, right? there's nothing to pin on you guys. There's nothing to run ads against.
We're insiders, but the majority of people don't know what those offices do.
You're right.
Most people don't really care, and I think that's the way it should be. You may forget that I'm in office, but I'm going to excel at it.
Well, I want to forget you're in office.
Well,
I want to
come on your show every now and then.
You and Elliott, I try to forget about him. He calls me all the time. I have an idea for you.
Okay.
And this is a really bold idea. You don't have to do it. If you don't do it, I'll understand. But if you think you're losing when you go to the convention, let me do the introduction for you.
I will consider that.
You just go out with a bang.
Did you run for a delegate?
I did not. Oh, no, I don't want any part of giving money to the Republican Party. No.
I can hook you up with a press pass, or I get so many passes. So if you want to come to Fort Wayne, you can be there.
Every convention, someone does that, and that person gets in big trouble because that gets me into the facility. So
I have no fear.
I'm just saying, if you think you're going down, let's go out with a bang. If you think you're winning, don't get anywhere near me.
So that budget hearing clip that I've talked about, our mutual friend, the Indy reporter,
right?
I'm seriously considering just walking up to the stage, because we had like 8 minutes to talk. You can do a whole video presentation or an 8-minute speech. I'm seriously thinking about walking up there with a folding chair, my backpack.
I love it.
Set up the chair, pull out a bag of popcorn, pull out a remote control, roll it, and we just watch that 3-minute clip of him avoiding questions.
I love it. That is awesome.
So
that is outstanding. All right, before we go, Greg Ballard is running as an independent.
Right.
Does that worry? Let's say you are the nominee. Does he worry you?
I'm laser focused on the convention run right now. I'm aware of him. I see him as simply somebody who's lent his name to a crusade. To collect petition signatures, you have to set up a master petition in our statewide voter registration system. Nobody has turned in any signatures. Now, I'm aware that they've hired a few kids to collect signatures as recently as the weekend before Easter. He had 2 teenagers who didn't even know he was a former mayor. They didn't know anything about it. They were getting paid $10 an hour to collect signatures. They didn't even know where to go. They actually went to a Target in this area inside the store and were clogging up the Easter aisle.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to collect signatures.
And they got moms off at Easter.
They got kicked out of the Target for trying to collect signatures in the store itself. So, you know,
it's get signatures.
I don't know. He's got to get at least 50, 60,000 raw signatures. That's going to be really difficult. I mean, you know, to run for Senate or governor, you only need 4,500 statewide, 500 per district, but he needs, close to 37,000 certified signatures.
You want him in?
More the merrier.
Doesn't bother you?
No. I think the entities that are backing him would pull votes from the Democrats, to be honest with you.
Are you surprised at how the Republicans freaked out? I mean, this guy was the gold standard. I was yelled at for years about being mean to Greg Ballard and was told he was the best and you can't say anything. And then as soon as he runs, he's John Walsh should have had him on America's Most Wanted or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem we see in society now is there's so much one-issue polarization over everything. Yeah. And I don't like that. I mean, I do agree with some of the messaging that I heard from Ballard, like the Secretary of State's office is hyper partisan right now. He's absolutely correct. When I walk into my clerk's office, time to run elections, I put my Republican chair hat on a hook, and I'm giving everybody the same information. Same thing will happen in the SOS office. I will not be endorsing candidates from that office It's just not going to happen.
Two things before we let you go. One, you're very excited about the woman who's going to replace you. I've never seen some guy so excited to be replaced. You did want to mention that.
My right-hand woman, Rita Meredith, will be a great county clerk. She'll be immensely more qualified to hold the office than I was, simply because she's learned from the best.
It's modest. I love it. And two, most people don't know this about you. You were a private eye, right?
Been a private investigator for well over 25 years, fraud investigator, and that allowed me to find a couple cases of voter fraud in my own county. We actually got a felony conviction on the guy from the 2020 election. You know, Diego likes to talk about election integrity. That's a campaign talking point for him. For me, it's something I live and breathe. And I also know to have election integrity, you must first have personal integrity.
It's the weirdest thing you ever saw watching somebody like doing surveillance.
Oh, surveillance? Well, they're fun. The workers' comp surveillances where they go to a mediation or a doctor's appointment wearing a neck brace and on crutches, get in their vehicle and you see them ripping off the neck brace, going to Walmart carrying a big screen TV out, and no problem. I've had people who have a lower back injury, can't raise their hands above their head, and it was around Christmas time. They come from around the backside of the house on drywall stilts hanging Christmas lights. I mean, I've seen it all.
Would I have known if you were watching me? Like if somebody's following me, do I know? Are you guys that good that I wouldn't notice?
It depends on the length of the surveillance, how many days.
Because I'm just convinced they've been following me around for years. Would I know?
You may or may not know. You just have to be aware of your situation. Most people, my biggest hint to you would be most people are creatures of habit.
Yeah.
So if you go to the same McDonald's every morning, get you a McNasty, change it up, go to different areas to
I am that boring, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I really am
creatures of habit.
If people want to learn more about you and your run for Secretary of State, David Shelton, help me.
SheltonForIndiana.com, Shelton for Indiana on Facebook, and then Shelton, FORIN on Twitter X.
Well, he's not Saddam Hussein, and short of being Saddam Hussein, you got to dump Diego Morales. So everybody take that under advisement. David Shelton, how about that for
good?
Thank you. Yeah, you're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Hi, I'm John Piper. I'm running for Congress in Indiana. I'm the only candidate in the United States of America exposing the crisis we have in mother's breast milk. Purdue University is a major player in that. Purdue is selling our veterinarians to out-of-state corporations for big money. Bobby Kennedy needs to know about it effective immediately. We are 55,000 veterinarians short across the United States. My two major opponents, Craig Haggard and Jim Barrett, are both protecting the Iranian terror cell in Plainfield, Indiana. I'm John Piper. I approve this message. Paid for Friends for Piper for Congress.
Your bathroom fan could be secretly costing you thousands of dollars in damages. Most people don't even know this until the damage is done. With over 18 years of bathroom remodeling experience, here are 3 signs your fan is failing you without spending a dime on inspections. Sign number 1 is if you have foggy mirrors after you shower. This shows that your fan isn't pulling out enough moisture, which creates the perfect environment for mold. If you have a properly functioning bathroom fan that is the right size for your space, you shouldn't see much fogginess on your bathroom mirror at all. Sign number 2 is if you have bubbling, cracking, or peeling paint in your bathroom. This means moisture is soaking into your walls, slowly breaking down drywall, and even causing the wood framing behind it to rot. Sign number 3 is if you have mold buildup on your fan, ceilings, or walls. This is terrible for your health, but also could wreck your bathroom, costing you a fortune. If you're noticing any of these signs, here's what you can do.
Call Vent Savvy today at 317-300-4434. That's 317-300-4434 and mention Rob for a free attic inspection.
I'm Doug Cobb for Clay County Commissioner. I'm running to bring transparency back to our local government. As a concerned citizen, I want to know what's going on. We need new and fresh ideas for today's challenges. We need a vision for future generations. As a small business owner, I want to explore and promote opportunities to make us all successful. Let's create a brighter future for Clay County together. I'm Doug Cobb, running for Clay County Commissioner, and I approve this message. Paid for by Linda Cheesem.
Rob Kendall Show. Producer Jason will join us in just a moment with the best YouTube comments of the day. But before we do that, I didn't realize until recently, but most bathroom exhaust fans aren't actually doing what they're supposed to do. A lot of them are undersized for the room, or they're not vented properly to the outside. So when you take a hot shower, that moisture isn't really leaving your house. It can end up in your ceiling or attic. That's where mold problems or even bigger can start. Get it checked out today. Call Vent Savvy. What a deal Vent Savvy has. John, the owner, big fan of our show. Go to ventsavvy.com. 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 Tell them you heard about us on Rob's show. Heard about them on Rob's show. He's coming out to your house free of charge. Free inspection, attic inspection. Take a look around. Take a look at your vent. Look at all of those things. And then he'll give you some suggestions. From there, you decide what to do with it. No hassle, no obligation. Head over to ventsavvy.com, VENTSAVVY.com. Tell me you heard about it on Rob's show for that totally free inspection and analysis. And with that, it's time for the best YouTube comments of the day. We welcome in friend of the stars, Producer Jason. Producer Jason, hello.
How we doing, Rob?
Great. Thank you.
All right. This chat brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to the plumber break the bank. Call John, Black Sheep Plumbing, 765-315-7558, 765-315-7558.
All right. Lively chatters today. Of course, if you have not yet hit our subscribe button, that's the key to get into the YouTube chat. I love the action we have on our YouTube chat. It's so sad to see a program with almost no action in the YouTube chat. And our chatters every day, there's so much action.
It's hard to keep up. 300 to 400 chats per day.
Nothing would make me sadder than to have no action in the chat. And you guys every day, chit.
Pretty amazing. Starting with Jack the Libertarian this morning, looking forward to a great show, minus Dan Dakich.
Dan was awesome. We love the coach. He's one of my favorite media figures. That guy, I'll tell you what, that guy was so nice to me when I came to IBC, and man, just what a guy, what a life he's lived. What a great guy.
The people he knows. Yeah. Carol, good morning, all. Another great Robcast coming up. Vic Ferrari at MLM. I noticed over at the other show, all the people that clamored against Rob aren't even listening to that show anymore. All right.
I'm always the straw that stirs the drink, for love and for hate.
We usually don't put those in here. I don't know how that one snuck in. Hoosier 2025. Good morning. Rob and Jason always bring the best news. And a new person in the chat, Whiskey with Brian. We had wine or something yesterday.
Yeah,
now we've got
wine.
It's Whiskey with Brian. Why did it take a month for me to find this? I drive hours and had to listen to road noise for a month from 9 to noon.
Well, now you have us. Tell your friends, Brian. Tell the masses. Rob Kendall Show. We are 10 until noon, live here on YouTube, and then available wherever you get your podcast.
And we appreciate you tuning in, Brian. Whiskey with Brian. Mad Duck. Kathleen, is that you, girlfriend?
Chatters, they chat back and forth, so you can get in the community if you subscribe.
Kathleen, hey, Mad Duck. Yes, it is. Yeah, I thought I would check it out. Now, Kathleen, new to the show, we'll just put it that way. And Ethan Hatcher, thank goodness it's time for the Rob Kendall Show again. Holy cow, I never thought the 9 to 10 a.m. hour was ever going to end.
Yeah, it's a big anticipation gearing up to our show. That's why I always try to put out. We did State House Happenings this morning. We taped it. It'll be out tomorrow morning. But that's why I was trying to do the daily video to give people what they want. And I'm sure that's what Ethan was referring to without my daily videos that he usually gets to see, just how long that 9 to 10 hour took.
Kathleen agreed. Yeah, it was pretty bad, Ethan.
See the mess? That's what they have to be talking about,
they
right?
Come here.
They have to be talking about not seeing the videos this morning.
We want wine, 1996. And of course, older wine is better than newer wine. I'm not a wine drinker. I didn't know that, but I guess, that makes sense. You look great on my TV.
Thank you.
I assume she's talking about you.
Thank you.
This is great being able to watch. Found out my dad listens to you every day. There you go.
Look, the numbers have been amazing, by the way. Thousands and thousands of people. They've been growing steadily. You guys have been great. It's got to get better, though. Like, I'm going to demand more from you guys. Like, you guys have been great, but I think we can do better. This is my challenge to you guys. Say, wherever you're hearing us from, on demand, live, wherever, share this feed at some point today. It takes 2 seconds. The internet is totally free to share things. Share the feed on Facebook or Twitter or wherever.
And if you don't share, we just do appreciate you watching anyway.
Yes,
just do your own part.
We're being overly harsh.
Just showing up's all you got to do. Steve Green with an E. Love me some Dan Dakich.
Yeah, he's great.
Let's go. Let's see. What else do we have here? Vic Ferrari. Yo, Ducky, leave it to Dan Dakich to break the no cursing clause.
Hey, it's the internet. You can't get away with it. And in fairness, he did ask.
Oh, did he ask?
Well, I
have permission?
in the middle of him. I love the coach. He's great.
It's fine for the guest. It fit Dan. It doesn't fit you, but it fit Dan.
I love it.
In came MK Dawas, a new one. Don't have to worry about the Federal Censorship Commission here, do we?
We do not. We're free to
Old guy KS never thought about how many parallels there are between Dakich and Kendall.
That is probably true. There are quite a few. We both have been fired by the same people.
There you go. Sticking with the Dan Dakich theme, Bowden JM. Bowden James, tell me how to pronounce that. Tell me if that's James or what that is. Thanks for this segment. Interesting topic. Thanks for this segment. Interesting topic, even though I don't follow sports very much.
Oh, yes. So this was Dan. Right.
We're still talking about Dakich. Kathleen, I do like to hear some local politics instead of the boring content that the other show offers. Again, sorry, I don't know how that one got in there. MLM Warrior, his language is not the Rob standard. That would be Dakich's language. Vic Ferrari, who's more angry, Rob Kendall or Dan Dakich?
Yeah, we're both pretty pissed off. We hate money being wasted. That's our theme.
MLM Warriors, not radio standard. Nicholas Kurtz, damn, coach, on fire. MLM Warriors, tons of beeps. We didn't beep it out.
We did not beep anything. We had a debate on whether we should beep it, and I said, no, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
There we go. Mad Duck, to me, this is what I want. No more kid gloves. Kathleen, I have always liked Dan Dakich. Almond Joy Tempo, I'm a grown, middle-aged woman, but Coach has me giggling in my cubicle like a little girl. This is some highly seasoned language.
There you go.
All right. Old LD Stutz, I highly agree with the coach. Charles...
you almost did it.
Charles Ludy. With the long U, not the short U. This is definitely not PG-rated Kendall show today. Kevin Branham, this is great. Everybody seems to like the Dakich.
Dakich is awesome, man.
Right.
Coach is one of the funniest people alive. I think he's hilarious.
Carol, 1776. Rob is getting giddy. LD Stoltz, great interview. Kathleen, I enjoyed that. MLM Warrior, it's done. Thank goodness.
One guy had to ruin it for everyone.
Do not have him back.
Everybody else was happy. There's always one guy that has to be miserable.
Drain the swamp. Rob and Jason, don't listen to MLM.
I love that people have a polite fight with each other. In the chat, Producer Jason,
that's,
thank you.
And then we cut it short because we were tardy in the chat today, but getting to the chat today. But that's okay, Rob. Great show. This chat segment brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. Make sure to give them a call. 765-315-7558.
Yeah, got to give a couple love to a couple of our sponsors here because I screwed up. We went a little long with the coach, and so it screwed things up. So we're going to read these out of love and let people know you really appreciate them. First is Lauren Wilson. Buying a home is the biggest investment you'll ever make, but it's about so much more than a price tag. It's about your next chapter. With Lauren Wilson, you're going to get a local person with local expertise. Lauren Wilson with @Properties, lifelong Hoosier, military vet, and committed to giving you the peace of mind knowing you have a dedicated advocate in your corner. Lauren would love to help you find the place you call home and, well, maybe get rid of that place you're currently calling home. Lauren Wilson with @Properties. Give her a call for your next move. 317-590-2290. 590-2290. Lauren Wilson with At Properties. And, of course, our loyal, amazing friends at Bramwell Mackay. If you got a masonry color mismatch, previous repair catching your eye, not happy with the brick color on your home and ready for a total makeover, Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants offer specialized masonry staining and recoloring. Whether you want to seamlessly blend repairs or completely transform your home's exterior, want to build something new, Bramwell Mackay's 40-year master masons design and construct custom patios, sidewalks, outdoor summer kitchens, archways, entryways, and more. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY, beauty built to endure. Big show coming up tomorrow. Doug Carter is scheduled to be with us, former state police superintendent. He's going to be bringing smoke on that dirty, rotten Tom Kleinhelter, getting charges filed against him. And John Rust, our old pal John Rust, is going to be with us. Big time, big conservative advocate, tried to run for U.S. Senate a couple of years ago. We'll talk about that. Plus, we got to ask Rust. Word is he's giving Shelton all those billboards. Will Rust give us a billboard? Can my big old face be on a billboard somewhere on an interstate highway and byway? Guys, you've been awesome today. Please share our show. If you haven't yet, before you go, hit that thumbs up. It really helps us out immensely. And we will look forward. Oh, producer Jason, great job as always as well. We will look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow right here, live, 10 until noon. You've been watching Rob Kendall Show.